lovers, thank you for joining me on this video of cultural awareness. Make sure that you keep up with all the live activities on eClub Monday through Friday after school to really get an idea of how these activities are really coming to life, and not only that, for some homework help. I'm Miss Anita, coming to you from my backyard, and today we're going to be learning about Martin Luther King Jr. So here's what you're going to need for this particular activity. We're going to learn a little bit about history, so make sure you get a little bit of paper and something to write with. Right. So who was Martin Luther King Jr. or MLK? MLK was a civil rights activist who was born in Atlanta, Georgia in 1928. A civil rights activist is somebody who stands up for a person's civil rights. What are civil rights? Civil rights are the rights of citizens to political and social freedom and equality. So at the time when Martin Luther King was growing up, the country was facing a lot of segregation and a lot of racial prejudice. So what is segregation? Segregation literally means to be set apart because of something, or just in general to be set apart. This meant that a lot of our community and a lot of the people were separated based off of the color of the skin, the way they looked, where they were coming from, their accents, and basically anything that made them look like they didn't belong in this country. So racial prejudice is a discrimination directed against other people because they are of another or a different ethnicity or race. Although he is famous for many reasons, one of his most famous moments was his iconic speech, "I Have a Dream," which was delivered at the March of Washington in Washington, D.C. Shortly after that, in 1964, he is shown with President Lyndon Johnson signing the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which basically says that no one can be judged, and basically businesses were no longer able to stop people from coming in simply by the way they looked. And so you have a lot of these businesses that don't let them use the same restrooms, don't let people use the same restrooms because they look different or because they are segregated. They won't let them use the same fountains. They don't let them ride in front of the bus. So these were very different things that were targeting African American citizens in the United States. And Martin Luther King really fought to bring awareness and to bring social change to make that a right. And in 1964, he receives the Nobel Peace Prize. And unfortunately, in 1968, MLK is assassinated. But let's not think so much about the negatives. What he really does is he inspires thousands of people to get together and really fight for equality, fight for each other, fight for the community, fight to be there with each other, and to show that we should all be caring about each other and that no one person is above anybody else. Now, in his iconic "I Have a Dream" speech, that's not what it's called, but that's how most people know it. It is a formal address or disclosure delivered to an audience. He was considered one of the greatest speakers. And perhaps it's because he had such great ideas, and perhaps it's because he cared so deeply about people that he was able to have such an impact on the community around him. And that's why you have so many people fighting, and that's why he still stays an iconic person today. And so here's today's activity. So we learned just a little bit about Martin Luther King. Of course, there are many things, and I highly recommend that you go in and you look him up. He has changed the way our society works and how we treat people today. And in many of the cases, especially during the pandemic times, it's really important that we always go back to these concepts and we remember to be just and to be caring and to make sure that everyone has the same freedoms and same equalities as everybody else. So for today's activity, we're going to be creating our own "I Have a Dream" speech. Now, a speech is a really long thing to write. It takes a lot of time and effort. So all we're going to be doing today is doing a couple of bullet points. So on your piece of paper, we're going to be writing 5 lines, right? And each line is going to start with, I have a dream. Just like this. I have a dream. You're going to write it 5 times. Eventually, your paper should look something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is mine. It's a little messy. But I want you to remember what the goal here is. The goal here is to remind us what MLK said and what he represented. So, I just gave you a lot, right? So, I'm going to read you my I have a dream post. So, here we go. I have a dream that someday everyone can go to the doctors and get help when they need it. I have a dream that everyone will go to sleep with a full tummy and a roof over their heads. I have a dream people from all backgrounds can have equal opportunities to be successful. I have a dream that the human race will take better care of our planet. And my last one is I have a dream that all the nations in the world can embrace their differences and get along. Now, those are kind of heavy. I want you to come up with 5 that you really feel strongly about, that you feel will make this world a better place. These dreams are intended to bring about social change and to make everyone aware that, hey, we do need to care about people. We do need to be looking out for people and individuals. So I want you to jot those things down, and then I want you to make sure to be able to upload these onto our eClub website so that everyone has an opportunity to hear and understand where you're coming from and hear your voice. Before we end this activity, I'm just going to go ahead and review all the different things that MLK has done for us, okay? Here we go. Martin Luther King Jr. believed black and white people should be treated the same. He believed freedom without hurting others with violence was a top priority. So no violence. We have to make sure that Martin Luther King believed that we could fight and speak up for people without coming to violent conclusions, and to fight with words, not fists. And that's really important, right? Words. Words are very powerful, and we can use those to fight and create a more just and equal system for ourselves, right? But we have to use our words. Fists don't really solve problems, right? What he said a lot of things, right? But the more important ones are, I have a dream. We just wrote our speech about that, right? He said, you got to stand up for your rights. Meaning if you need to understand your rights, and then you have to make sure that you are constantly pushing and fighting to make sure your rights are constantly being held up. Together, not separate. We are stronger as a community. The more we divide ourselves, the less we will be successful. Together, we can move forward. Separate, we won't go anywhere, right? And love is the key to the platforms of the world. Love is the key to a lot of things. Showing love, showing that you care, showing that other people need to care about other people was at the top of his ideology. And what he accomplished. Over time, he became a minister. He did the March on Washington, where you see him do the most famous speech. He was responsible for the bus boycott of 1955. And he won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1968. I hope that this gives you a better understanding of who Martin Luther King was and how important he is to the structure of the society. Okay. So as we're learning and as we're growing and as time continues and we're going through all of these changes with society, always come back to these very important concepts that Martin Luther King has taught, to respect each other, to come together as a community, and to make sure that we all have the same freedoms and same equalities as everyone else, because that's the only way that we can be successful. Okay, So now that we have a better understanding of who Martin Luther King Jr. was, go out into your society and make sure that you're enforcing these concepts of love, of caring, understanding, of togetherness and community, and about using your words as the way to communicate your passions and what you care about. The more we come together as a community, the stronger and more successful we will be. And as MLK Day comes closer, I hope that you enjoy your holiday, I hope you enjoy your day off, and I hope that you truly value your freedom and equality that you have here in the United States. I'm Miss Anita, coming to you from my backyard. Thank you for joining me, and make sure that you continue to watch my cultural awareness videos, and stay safe. Bye.